Hi, welcome to Conversations here on NTA. My name is Nike and the house is full. Let's start with the lady right in front of me.
Hi, it's glad to be back. Happy 2019 to you guys. My name is Enabong Robin.
Oh, okay. Happy 2019, yeah? It's Z.
Z Chuks. Chukuma is my name.
My name is Rita. Let me join them. Happy 2019.
You know this is like February, right? Why are we doing Happy New Year?
We don't want to be left out. That's
You never
right.
know. Somebody probably just woke up from a coma.
Somebody may just see this for the first time in a year, so it's good.
And no one had a reason for saying Happy 2019.
It's the first time on the show this year.
Okay, so today we're talking about career choices. Some of us started off in school reading one thing and ended up doing something completely different. This happens. Sometimes our parents push us in a certain direction, and your mind, your heart, your body, your soul is tilting in that direction. A classic example is Fela. We all know that they wanted him to be a medical doctor, and the rest of it is history. His name is etched in the sands of time as one of our greatest musicians. So our topic today, career choices. We'll be taking a quick break and we'll be right back in the conversation room.
I'm an artist. I also produce hip hop is what I do mostly. And what influenced my career, I just find myself doing it, and I have joy whenever I do whatever I do. So it gives me joy. And secondly, my environment is my inspiration.
Okay, what influenced my choice of career? Actually, I did my first degree in biochemistry, and I grew up in Delta State, in Warri, Delta State. A branch of my course was in the environment. And living as a young girl in Delta State, I saw oil spillage, environmental degradation firsthand. So when I realized that I could study this, how to control this spillage, how to help the environment, I chose to go for a master's degree in environmental management. So by the grace of God, I had the privilege to study abroad, and I chose to study environmental management.
It's the passion I have for my career. I'm passionate about it. I love it. And that is why I'm into it. So it's something I love doing. It's something I'm passionate about. Yeah.
If you have a contract and want to start your work, the first person you involve is a quantity surveyor. Why do you invite me first? Because it's knowledgeable in everything about construction. Not the architect. That's the place I've mentioned before. They were in the forefront, but once surveying came in at late. So it's a very powerful profession. You have a lot to do because you need to understand the cost of material in the market, both civil, electrical, and mechanical. We are jack of all trade and master of all. So it's a profession I so much appreciate. And I encourage people to read quantity surveying.
Why I choose it is this. First of all, I have a dream. I have something I want to create. Right from my childhood, I have something I always want to create. So as I study along, I discovered that if I fall into this, my path right now, it is going to help me to be able to bring it out. I can be able to be more creative in bringing that which I want. To me now, I want to create a very security environment whereby nobody can be able to escape the kind of thing I want to create via my ICC IQ.
I'm into business. What actually influenced my choice of career is my love for it, my passion for it. And I've always wanted to be a businessman, to be independent. Yes.
I work with the Office of the Accountant General of the Federation. What influenced me about my career is because of the probity and transparencies of my job. And then it actually stimulates me. I further my education after the employment, and now a satisfied national accountant of Nigeria. I love it because the career talk much about prudency, talk about transparency, talk about probity. And by that, if you're actually doing the work well, you can fight the corruption to the later.
It started from when I was young. My aunt is a nurse. We had a maternity home. She wanted me to toe that line. But when I can't stand seeing blood. So when I told myself, no, it's better I go into accounting. So from there, and I have friends too that wanted to toe that line. So I just decided to move towards accounting because I also love mathematics. So
I love that course. I love construction. Generally, I said it just because I love it. Not that it's even giving me money, but I love that job. I've been into construction for about 20-something years now.
Career choices, and that's what we're talking about today in the conversation room. So Enobong, since you haven't spoken to us all year, why don't you tell us what you think about the topic today?
Well, for me, the topic is personal, but hopefully as we go into the conversation with everybody here, somebody out there is going to learn that, you know, career is not really about what you think you can do. There's so many factors that help you with your career choice. Yes, we all ignore our parents. You can't choose what you want for me, but sometimes there's a saying that goes, what an adult sees sitting on a tree, you as a child, you can't, or sitting down, you as a child, you can't see sitting on a tree. For me, I've always wanted to be in the media and theater. This is what I've always wanted to be. My mother never wanted it. She wanted law, simply because I could talk. She wanted, she's like, oh, you should do law. Yes, growing up, I realized that if I were a lawyer, I would still be good because, truth be told, even if I was to sell shoes now, I would be good doing it because I'm a dedicated person. So I don't care what I do. But there's so many people who just blame their parents for everything, blame their siblings, blame people around them. Take responsibilities. What career choice have you made? What error do you think, you know, you have encountered? How can you straighten this up? So it's Nika, it's a long journey we are going today, and I hope we have time to exhaust this topic. But over to you. Let's to do what they have to do, and we continue from there.
What about you?
Well, what happened was Z didn't want to be.
Z just switched her accent. Did you notice? Z is fine.
Okay, let me come back to the accent that you know.
All right.
That better.
Yes.
Okay. Well, your parents always say. I saw something yesterday on Instagram, and it said the typical African parent, if you're not a lawyer, you're not a doctor, and you're not an engineer. You're a failure. Not really.
Add accounting to it.
You have to be accountant, lawyer,
engineer,
doctor.
Four, yeah.
Okay, so we'll say those four. Okay. If you're not in those four, you're a failure. Or then somebody now added his own. He said, or married to a rich man.
A very good career choice.
Yeah. You're a failure. Yes, in Nigeria, that's what it is. Our parents send us to school and say, for bragging rights of, my child is a doctor, my child is a lawyer, my child is an engineer, without thinking what the child likes, without paying attention to, this child doesn't really like going to biology, chemistry, and physics classes. Yeah. This child is succeeding more in arts and theater and other things. I'm going to use myself as an example. I found myself in the hospital because of my parents God is judging you people.
They are watching. Just that doesn't watch this episode. Daddy, they are watching. I'm sorry on that behalf. Mean?
Some people don't get what you're trying to say.
Yeah.
Say it.
Tell them.
Plain and simple, Z.
No, did you find yourself in the hospital as a patient?
Exactly. How did you find it?
As a nurse.
Well, more as the boss of the nurse.
Tell us.
Okay, you own a hospital?
No, I could, with my license.
Okay, tell us.
Well, my parents wanted Dr. Zainab. They ended up getting Dr. Zainab, but that's just in paper. In reality, I don't want anything close to Dr. Zainab. I don't even want to see a hospital. I don't want to pass it by.
So, Z, you went through all the rigors. You went through
all
medical
school.
Medical school, residency.
Yes.
The whole 9 years.
I even worked.
Right. So at which point did you decide no?
When I was old enough to move back to Nigeria and not need my father's money to pay school fees. So I took a very sharp left turn. And here I am.
And how did they take that? I don't know.
There's nothing to take.
Nigerian parents would.
Well, I have one Nigerian parent.
Okay.
Then I have one Oyinbo mother.
Oh.
That is like, oh, anything you want as long as you've gone to school, and I'm so proud of you. And my dad is like. But it's all love.
It's all love.
So, in case you guys are missing the point, Z is actually a medical doctor. She's certified. She's certified. But this is what she does for a living.
NYU School of Med.
Wow.
Not even just any school, NYU School.
That's mind-blowing.
Wow. But here, I do a better job giving people advice and talking than I do looking at your skin and trying to tell you what
you're... All that money gone.
Is it your money?
It hurts.
They wouldn't have dashed it to me, so it was better that I wasted it.
Well, career choices, to me, could be personal. I was meant to be a lawyer. I loved to be a lawyer.
Okay.
But I couldn't make the cutoff. I found myself in English and Literary Studies department.
Okay.
I had intended to leave after my year one I wanted to write JAMB, then go back to law. But I found myself in my second semester, year one. There was a course they introduced, Introduction to Oral Literature. And the course spoke a lot about what I wanted to be in the future.
Okay.
I embraced it and remained in the department. And if you place law and place English and Literary Studies, I would choose English and Literary Studies.
Yeah.
I identified what I wanted to be.
English is.
But when you have in several areas.
Yes, I am. When I had to do with what I have done, have I practiced it? No. I came out and found myself in marketing.
Okay.
I've been in business development, and I have evolved from there to something business. So if you ask me more now, I'll tell you I'm a small business coach. I talk more on how to start up. Okay. I'm an entrepreneur. You can set up your business and run your business. I can tell you or teach you how you can do a whole lot of things like that.
But you're practicing what you learned, the same English, because it's the same English you speak to them.
And do marketing.
I discovered about English. If you studied English, you could English about humanity.
Exactly.
And you could, if you can touch, connect. In fact, I always say that the best marketers should study English because it makes it easy for me. If I'm approaching you, the way I present myself would make you buy from me.
Okay.
And presentation could be based on how you respond, how I feel you respond. Because in marketing, I've done well. I'll praise myself. I've done well in marketing. And most organizations where I've worked and where there are places that are difficult for people to go, they will say, okay, Ohaka, please come and go. Because I always have my way.
You will get a yes.
And it always works for me. So
okay.
I studied English, but I found myself in business development and it's working.
Wow.
So, Rita, it's your turn. Tell us. Tell us.
Jackson, you were Barakbo. That's my father. He looked at me and saw a doctor. This girl who hates the sight of blood. Anyways, I'm that girl who was in science class in secondary school.
Yeah.
And when it was time to register for WAEC, I registered literature, government, and all the art courses. And my principal sent for my dad. Your daughter's gone mad. But the thing is, Zainab is right. Our parents always feel they know what is good for us. But what I've learned over the years from my experience and now being a parent myself is it is important for you to study the likes of a child, what their interests are, what tickles their fancy. I have 2 girls. One of them tells me she wants to be an architect. I can smell it from the way she talks and everything. She scrutinizes building even at her age.
Wow.
My daughter wants to be a doctor and a model. It's quite a combination, right?
Right.
but we go like, go for it if that's what you want. Yeah. My son is not quite sure. He wants to be a pilot. He wants to be a sports journalist. He wants to be a chef. He cooks real good, but he's just 10. So
he still has the rest of his life.
Exactly. So we're leaving the options open. What did I end up doing? I read theater arts because I grew up watching Comfort Okoronkwo on NTA and thinking, I like this. I want to do this. If I'm not in front of a camera or a microphone, my own nicotine, I should be in the court. And if I'm a lawyer, I'm going to be too radical. so I chose, well, Lord, I get into trouble. I don't want to go to prison like the Fania and Fayemi and all of that. I don't have that strength. I think broadcasting would do. I can still change the world doing that. So I settled for broadcasting. So I read theater arts, majoring in media arts, and doing my master's in media arts. It's fulfilling. For me, career is about passion.
Yeah.
If I can do it for free and I get paid for it, why not?
Yeah. You're one of the few people that have actually studied one thing and then carried it through all to the very end. I mean, it's
Nika,
commendable.
come on, I'm sitting down here.
What?
She said one of.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Oh, yeah.
Listen.
No, but you didn't tell us what you studied.
Well, no, this is
No,
not
I did theater arts, but you see,
you did?
You see, no, I'm not dragging, but you see, I can relate with her.
Okay.
But yes, I can relate. Also, I don't know why I always think out of the box. All right, it was easy for me because I grew up a little rascal, a little bit, just a little bit, you know. So my mom has a way of letting me do whatever I want to do. You know, even though in my family everybody is science and they all see me as the Olodo of the house, in quotes, because I did art.
Yeah, they always feel like the science people are
because you did
art,
art, you're not smart. You're not smart enough for the biology and the math, and I don't care, you know. But the thing is, there's so many people who have to understand that most times their parents actually have good intentions. That's the point I'm trying to make. It's not enough about you.
I don't know about that good intention.
Well,
I feel like my father
let me tell you why I say this.
Yeah,
I feel like our
she made
parents just don't.
Sorry.
They can't do it, so they
like
force it down their children.
Like you said, your son is not sure he wants to be a pilot. He wants to be a chef.
10, 11.
He's just 10, 11. But let me tell you, he's forming so many ideas based on the people around him, the shows he's watching, where he's going to. It is now your job as a mother to help shape and guide him.
Not to infuse it in him.
No, when I say shape and guide him, you can introduce him to, okay, 1 or 2 options. You know, try to expose him some more. But I'm not saying you should impose, but sometimes, let me tell you the truth, even there are so many adults right now who are working, they're not sure of their career. They're not sure if they're supposed to be doing that.
They just need
maybe
to pay,
the pay is fine. Maybe the money is right.
A lot.
You understand?
I want to say 80%.
But a situation where you work, you go to the office and come back and you are complaining about everything. Your boss, listen, you're not in the right career path. So if you are listening to somebody older, perhaps you would have, been able to find something that satisfies you, because it's not everybody.
Have you thought about maybe they listen to that older person, that's why they're miserable?
I'm trying to balance what you said. Most times, our parents want us to be what they want us to be, not what we want to be. Most errors that have been made in the past, sorry to say 60% go to our parents.
Yes.
The reason is this. My mom wants to be mama doctor. And because she wants to go to the Christian mothers meeting and say, doctor is coming back. And she doesn't want to know.
It's not good is coming back.
No, she doesn't want to know if Chukwuma wants to be a doctor or not.
Or if he's happy, if he's satisfied.
Truth is, I've had friends who studied medicine for the sake that their parents wanted them to study medicine, but they're not into medicine.
Exactly.
You see, it's not the only one. I have lots of them as friends.
Okay.
They are doing something far from medicine.
But there's some success stories that have come out of this. How about the the Williams, the Venus and Serena's father, I don't think they were totally too thrilled about tennis to start with. And he kind of egged them on, and look at where they are now.
A little bit. So, let me ask you a question.
No, I think they wanted tennis. They wanted tennis.
Both of them?
They wanted tennis because there are other sisters. They're not just the two. They have other sisters.
Okay.
They have other sisters. I think there's like 7 or 8 of them.
Wow.
They wanted tennis. And the father, luckily enough, was already in that business of tennis. So he molded them to that. Not that they didn't want it at all. They wanted tennis. But in other cases, you don't want that.
Let's talk about
let's be real, right?
Fowl's the bad guy.
At one point in my life, growing up, I wanted to be a lawyer. Because look, I can argue my way out of anything. All the facts you might not know or might know, I will bring it up and I will win that case. It's like, maybe I should be a lawyer. But I was like, no. And I did think about becoming a chef as well. Because I love to cook and I love to eat. But then I thought down the line, hey, I'll be very oversized though. By the time I cook, I eat all my food. Hey, calm down.
Monique used to say, don't trust a skinny cook.
So you see, like now her son is exhibiting he wants to be a chef. There are culinary schools for kids during the holidays. Register. If he doesn't like it, he's only 10. That culinary school is probably just a month. He'll come back and say, Mommy, I don't want to do this. 1 down.
Down.
Oh yeah, you want to be a sports journalist. Let's be going to NTA. Do it for a month. He'll come and say, Mommy, I don't think this is it for me. And eventually, he will find that one, and he will stick to it, and he will be the one to come and know, Mommy, it's time for me to go. Can you please drop me off?
So that happens with football, actually.
You see?
That happens with football.
So let me ask you guys a question, all right? What happens in a situation where, yes, my father pushed me, yes, he got me a job, yes, I'm earning the 6 figures or what, now I'm married, I'm satisfied. All right, that is the typical situation in Nigeria. But what happens to the people who, the Nigerian level of the university system, okay, they give you, sometimes they apply for a certain subject and they give you a certain thing because of certain factors. And you go in there and you come out.
I didn't school here.
Yeah, she didn't school here, so she won't understand.
But it's what happens.
She won't understand. But the question is, sorry, Rita.
So they choose for you. Your school chooses.
Yes.
Like you do.
Like a.
My cutoff mark chose for me.
Okay.
Because if I was able to meet the cutoff mark for
you
law,
would have got
I would have studied law.
No, despite that, it's happened to my niece. The law I think she wanted to go for was oversubscribed. So even when they all came in, they had to start weeding them out and then moving them. And so now she's studying something
I think that needs to change.
Yeah, so that
the US, when you're like, let's say you want to go to Howard. When you're applying to Howard, they ask you for your first, second, and third option.
Okay.
If you don't get into your first, you'll get into your second. If you don't get into your second, you get into your third. At least those are your options.
In Nigeria, they ask us for those options.
No, that happens too here.
But the truth is, the university itself will tell you, listen, there's not this thing here. You have the cutoff, you have everything. So you find yourself here. I am a typical example. When I was 16, I applied for law in University of U. My name came out in music.
Oh.
Yes. I checked the list.
Wow.
Checked the whole list through. I didn't see my name. So that, I felt bad at some point. And I don't know. Someone like,
how?
You got admission. Like, got admission to where?
That time, probably.
It came out in music. And I did that music for 1 year.
Wow.
Do you know if you had continued
was
with
that your second choice?
You would have been Tiwa Savage.
I sing really well, all right? But then I want to follow that career.
Destiny was calling you.
See, it's not easy to study musical. The strings, the keyboard.
Was that your second choice?
Law and music. How, Nika?
How did they pick
music
from the air?
So this is the Nigeria we find ourselves. So imagine if I had stayed back, and did that music. Finished it, went for NYC, and come out and start hitting the studio and saying, I'm singing. This is my demo.
Carnegie Hall and done opera.
The truth is, for me as a Nobong, I would work so hard to make sure that works for me. But the question is, there's so many people out there who are in this same position, who are just trying to make ends meet. Do you understand?
But in Nigeria, is it that you only apply to one university?
Okay.
No,
you go through the JAM. Which is
She has to pay money. She has to pay money.
Yeah, she has to pay us a little
you go
something.
through JAM and you have your choices. It's not like you are just applying to a Uniben or you are applying to. You have to apply through JAM and have the choices of schools you want.
Through JAM?
Yes.
Not through the school?
No, not directly through the school.
It's
Except
not
it's a private
in Nigeria.
university,
You don't
maybe,
accumulate
right?
CGPA from 9th grade like they do in the US. All right. So in Nigeria, you do WAEC, you do NECO, then you do JAM, then you do matriculation from the university of your choice,
and then maybe
then you
JAM
get
too.
Because the system, the US system and the UK system is different from the Nigerian system.
I was in secondary school. They said, okay, by junior year, you're allowed to go to university from junior year depending on what your SAT says.
Exactly, from your 9th grade.
I wrote my SAT in 11th grade. In the 12th grade, I wrote my SAT. I applied to the colleges I wanted. The ones that wanted me responded. I looked at it. Uncle, I don't want to. I did my own shakaratu since I'm the one that's paying you. No, not you. Okay, I'll take you. So I don't understand the why. I thought WAEC was like SAT.
No, it's not. It's not. The Nigerian system is different. It's more complicated.
Yeah, she's in that
all right.
So she knows
yes,
more.
It's more complicated. So for the US, for those listening, the US system and the UK system is still different. For the UK, you have to do the SATs, LBs, and all. For the US, you start accumulating CGPA from 9th grade, depending on what university you intend to go. So you accumulate those points.
I think UK is CGP. US is your SAT and ACTs.
No.
Wow.
So it depends on the university you want to go to, then you check for their requirements ahead of time. So the truth is, what people don't know is you can actually get some grades from secondary school for the university.
I did not know that.
Yes, you can actually get, yes. So you can do some university courses.
You take some university courses
in
while you're in
secondary
high school. So when you get there, you already have those grades.
To university. But in Nigeria, nobody sends you that. All right? In Nigeria, you have to finish
We've
it.
done all this and found ourselves, or will find ourselves in the career place.
Yes.
Are we satisfied doing what we want to do?
Satisfaction.
Are you satisfied with what you're doing?
Well, the bank says yes. The bank will say yes. I mean, what I'm paid at the end of the day will make me satisfied.
No,
for most people,
really. I disagree with you.
Because if that's the
Strongly
case, then
disagree.
I've been in the US still earning
Strongly disagree.
figures.
Strongly disagree.
It's not about the
You
money.
see, the thing that is giving me
figures.
satisfaction is what I'm doing right now. All right, the pay may not be here, but I'm happy talking about topics that influence people's life. I'm happy talking about these things.
Yeah.
Because if someone is listening and someone is gaining something, I'm well paid. All right, but then
You're the first person I see saying that.
well, I'm a very
well paid.
satisfied young lady. All
You
right.
say that? A lot of people don't say that.
What? If you have 2 kids just for well
I don't have a kid, I don't have a cat, I don't have a dog.
I'm not working.
My parents are still working. I don't have any liabilities. So if I'm earning 50,000 naira and I can do my hair and buy my toilet,
You're good.
You're well paid.
Enjoying,
career conversation.
Well, when we started, you said if you are a lawyer, doctor,
accountant,
engineer, or you marry, right?
Marry a rich man. Well, I'm not married.
So maybe that's why he's now infusing the.
You don't need to marry. You can marry very down. You'll be very okay. 50K will be very okay.
Why I threw up that question is that question is this. In the workplace, you have a lot of people who are they find themselves in an office simply because they have a connect, not because they could fit in.
I said so, yeah.
And when they come with that mindset, they don't fit in. They don't fit in within the environment. It bounces back or reflects on them, and you see them becoming aggressive. Now it looks like everybody might think, oh, this guy is not part of the team. And he himself is isolated because he is not understanding it's not what he wanted to do, but because he had a connect, he found himself in that office, and the two of them are not working. So when people find themselves there, my opinion.
The anxiety generated by the delay in the announcement of the presidential elections result has dissipated as the returning officer, who is also the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, declared President Muhammadu Buhari as the winner of the keenly contested election, having satisfied the requirement of the law. President Buhari of All Progressives Congress polled more than 15 million votes, defeated his counterpart from the People's Democratic Party, Atiku Abubakar, who got more than 11 million votes. The breakdown of the results shows that the APC won in 19 states, while PDP led in 17 states of the Federation and the FCT. Out of the 28,614,190 votes cast, 1,289,607 were rejected. This stands at 35.5%, the national average of the voter turnout for the February 23rd elections. Reacting to his victory, President Muhammadu Buhari said, and I quote, "The new administration will intensify its efforts in security, restructuring the economy, and fighting corruption. We have laid down the foundation and we are committed to seeing matters to the end. We will strive to strengthen our unity and inclusiveness so that no section or group will feel left behind or left out." As part of the procedure to legitimize the election, the INEC chairman, Professor Mahmood Yakubu, later in the day, will present certificate of return to the president-elect and the vice president-elect. And so we will link up with our outside broadcast crew to beam signals live to Nigerians at the International Conference Center in Abuja. A significant fallout from the election is the low turnout of voters during the February 23rd exercise. Why the voter apathy? Why the large number of cancellations? We will also examine all the key features of the process and how they should be strengthened as we prepare for governorship and state houses of assembly elections scheduled to hold on March the 9th. Glad to have you join again this morning on Nigeria Decides. I am Omini Oden, and co-anchoring with me this morning is Musbah Danwawad.
Good morning. It's good to be here. Omini Oden. The tension is doused and everywhere is calm in the Federal Capital Territory. And
as usual, it was a contest, and at the end of the contest, you have a winner and a loser. What happens next?
What happens next will be the Projects Nigeria.
Well, reports have been churned out by the NTA, getting reactions from Nigerians on how they feel the contestants or the contenders should react at the end of the day.
So wait for all of this. You're going to get reactions from across the country, talking about going to our zone and network centers, and of course our professional reporters across the country will bring you the atmosphere, what they look like across the country. And we have joining us in the studio one of our regular analysts, a sound one at that. That's Jide Ojo, is here on the show this morning.
Good morning, Nigerians. Congratulations, President Muhammadu Buhari.
And in the course of this telecast, we shall be going to the zones. Our first stop will be Ibadan Network Center, where Femi Johnson is standing by. But before then, let's recall what happened a few hours ago. That is the declaration of President Muhammadu Buhari as President-elect and Vice President Yemi Osinbajo as Vice President-elect by the Chief Returning Officer of the Presidential Poll in Nigeria, INEC Chairman, Professor Mahmood Yakubu.
It was a long walk to the National Collation Center as myriad of challenges encountered pre and during the elections, but it's all smiles in the long run. With the conclusion of the presidential elections, Professor Mahmood Yakubu, the chairman of INEC, displayed the blank forms for the recording of the results to party representatives and observers as a sign of transparency, and within 48 hours, all the presidential results from the 36 states of the Federation and the Federal Capital Territory submitted. President Muhammadu Buhari of the APC take charge of 20 states, some landslide, others moonslide, while the PDP came top in 16 states and the Federal Capital Territory. Issues of overvoting, cancellations, non-use of smart card readers formed the main content of petitions that followed most results from the states. At 12:45 p.m. Wednesday, collation ended, and the election management body went into a closed-door session, leaving many to have a short rest, while others formed clusters to discuss the possible outcome. Discussions that made many to keep party affiliations aside. At 3:50 a.m., the INEC chairman, Professor Mahmood Yakubu, without the usual smiles on his face, addressed some key issues raised by party representatives.
Where the candidate is deliberately circumvented, you write a 0 and proceed with the election. So in some places you have 40%, 45%, 50%, but by the time you do the national average, it gives you what we call the national. So the 35.6% is national.
The clearance of these pending issues give the permission to the INEC chairman to ride on the powers of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and the Electoral Act to declare the winner. An election contested by 73 presidential candidates, 82,344,107 registered voters, and 29,364,209 accredited voters.
Buhari Muhammadu of the APC scored 15,191,847 votes. Abubakar Atiku of the PDP scored 11,262,978 votes. That Muhammadu Buhari of the All Progressives Congress, having satisfied the requirements of the law and scored the highest number of votes, is hereby declared winner and is returned elected. Thank you.
It was indeed an atmosphere of no victor, no vanquish, as all exchanged pleasantries, as national interest supersedes party interest.
Yes. Like I said, we're all patriots. Yes. I've said that before, we're all patriots. Thank you.
As many bask in this euphoria, others endorse their approval of the results.
It's a victory for democracy in Nigeria. And I equally congratulate all the contestants, especially President Muhammadu Buhari, for this resounding victory.
So, the conclusion of the presidential and the National Assembly elections marked the end of the first leg of the general elections. Nigerians now look on to March 9, 2019, when the governorship, state houses of assembly, and that of the Federal Capital Territory elections will be conducted. There is a common prayer here by all Nigerians that the peace being experienced at the first leg of the elections should be replicated in the second leg, which is March 9, 2019. From the International Conference Center in Abuja, Mie Ogidi, NTA News.
Thank you very much.
That was a lovely news behind the news there by Mie Ogidi. A lot of things happened behind the news.
A lot of things happened, and interestingly, actually, two major events took place at night during this period. Yeah. The postponement was around 2 a.m. and the declaration of the result of the presidential election again around 3 a.m.
Quite illuminating there. I saw the PDP agent there, Shidoka, having a chat with Festus Keyamo. So it was a lovely one, meaning that the spirit of sportsmanship is beginning to play.
It's intact.
Yeah.
All right, and that's a very good one to note. So let's move on. Reactions are coming in, and of course, the president and president-elect, that's President Muhammadu Buhari, has reacted to that declaration of results.
It was an exciting moment that rekindles optimism, high sense of satisfaction, and indeed fulfillment at the official residence of President Muhammadu Buhari as INEC Chairman Professor Mahmoud Yakub announced the result of the 2019 presidential election.
Buhari Muhammadu, having satisfied the requirements of the law and scored the highest number of votes, is hereby declared winner and is returned elected.
For the well-wishers that joined the first family for the remarkably historic and significant point in time, it is a dream come true.
We thank God for making it possible for us to get the second term. I'm highly delighted because Nigerians are ready for continuity, and I'm sure they will not regret it.
I'm very excited about it because I know his intentions are very clean. This term will be better than the last term. That's just what I can hope for and pray for, as every other Nigeria would.
I want to assure Nigerians that with Buhari, you are in good hands.
For me, it's just congratulations all the way. And I know that the best will begin to happen for us as a nation. Yes, he has started, we are on the right path. We mentioned it, that we may not be where we want to be, but we are definitely on the right path.
President Muhammadu Buhari then proceeded immediately to the APC presidential campaign headquarters in the heart of Abuja, the nation's capital, where stakeholders of the party gave him a befitting welcome. In his formal reaction to the outcome of the presidential election, President Muhammadu Buhari described the renewal of his mandate by Nigerians as victory for both the Nigerian democracy as well as the APC.
I do not have the words adequately to thank the millions of Nigerians who voted to re-elect me as your president for the next 4 years. I am deeply humbled. I would like to make a special appeal to my supporters, not to gloat or humiliate the opposition. Victory is enough reward for your efforts.
The new administration, the president said, will intensify efforts at securing the country, restructuring the economy, and fighting corruption.
We have laid down the foundation, and we are committed to seeing matters to the end. We will strive to strengthen our unity and inclusiveness so that no section or group will feel left behind or left out.
Although the presidential and National Assembly elections were relatively peaceful, the Nigerian leader, however, expressed worry that in a handful of states, troublemakers attempted to disrupt the exercise.
Security agencies will bring to justice all those arrested in the process. I am very sad at the grievous loss of lives during these elections. Security agencies will step up their efforts to protect the voters in the forthcoming state elections.
The president used the opportunity to appreciate both the international and domestic observers for not only contributing to the success of the elections, but also showing greater interest in Nigeria and its developing democracy. He also thanked the leadership of the party, other stakeholders, and the millions of volunteers for sacrificing their time and resources towards achieving the desired outcome. In Abuja, Adamu Sambo, NTA News.
Okay, that was the reaction of Mr. President Muhammadu Buhari, and of course, President-elect. That's the candidate of the All Progressives Congress. We're still expecting reaction from the other parties. But
the program, we shall try as much as possible to get reaction from other contenders, the major contenders, and the other ones, to ensure that we have a feel of what it is across the country. Like we said, our first stop will be to Ibadan. But before we go to Ibadan, let's quickly take on Jide. Jide, what will be your reaction on this day?
Well, my reaction is mixed. I have a mixed reactions. The first is we've concluded phase 1 of this electoral process. A winner has emerged. There was no inconclusive election, no runoff. Tension is calming down. It's been a very tension-soaked 3 days post-election. And it's heartwarming that at least we've concluded that phase. There have been so many upsets, even though pundits will say, a presidential election could go either way. But at the state level, with what has emerged at the senatorial and House of Reps level, you may be having about 80% new entrants into the National Assembly, and that's significant. Beyond that, on the flip side, I'm not too happy with the mass cancellation of results and rejected ballots.
I'll probably get to that, but quickly, let's look at the margin, 1917.
Yeah, in terms of the number of states won. Yeah, 1917. But again, if you drill down those figures, it's not so much. I was telling somebody yesterday, I said it's not so much about the number of states you win, it's about the number of votes. Because what is up for grab is actually 25% across at least minimum of 2/3. So even with the person with 17 could have been the winner if he had won in the high voting population states. Do you get what I'm saying? Well. Even with fewer number of states outrightly won. Because for presidential and governorship election, it's not so much about the number of states you win outrightly, it's about where you are. Because we could have had a challenge if the two candidates could not get that 25% in at least 2/3, which is 24 of the states. But the two of them got. It was also neck to neck in the number of states they outrightly won. But if you look at the figures very well, the margin by which the winner defeated the main challenger is wider than it was in 2015. In 2015, we had about 2.5 million votes separating the winner from the loser. From what I've seen, if you do the mathematics, it's over 3 million.
About 3 million.
Yeah, so that means that it may mean different things. It may mean that the president enjoys more acceptance, wider support than it was in 2015. It may also mean that because we have had increase in the number of registered voters, because the number of registered voters is not static. You know, from 2015, where we had about 67, 68 million registrants. Now we have at least 84 million, out of which 72 or thereabout collected their PVCs. So that could also have been the rationale behind. But when you look at the absolute figure, in terms of voter turnout, it's lower in 2019 than it was in 2015. In 2015, you have about 44% voter turnout. Now we are talking about 35%. Which then means that maybe as a result of the huge number of cancelled votes, which are in millions, rejected ballots and all of that, if those didn't happen, maybe we'll have had a little more figure for in terms of voter. Even for the council vote, you still measure it as part of voter turnout. It's just that it doesn't count in the determination of the winner.
Trust me, Jide Ojo, we're still going to dissect all of these issues as the program progresses. Now, let's look at the general conduct of this election now. It has come and gone, talking about the presidential election. Would you say this outcome has justified the postponement?
Yeah, it did. It does. It does. In the sense that maybe we'll have had the worst scenario, a worse scenario if we have gone into that election on February 16th. All I meant is this. Maybe the logistical challenge will have been more than we had, because INEC had about 1 week to fix a couple of things, materials for one state going to another, materials not arrived sufficiently early enough to have the voting. The issue of smart carriers that were burnt in Anambra, for instance, they have to mop up from adjoining states, configure, and all of that. So if we didn't have all of that sorted out, maybe the number of voters will have dropped, or the logistical challenge will have been much more glaring than it was in the last election. So it was more or less a blessing in disguise that election was postponed to make room for more time for INEC to do a better job than they would have done on February 16th.
Well, the issue that the program is Nigeria decides, and indeed Nigerians have decided, and like we said, in the spirit of this program, we shall go around the country to bring you perspectives on how Nigerians are reacting. Our first stop is Ibadan. As we can see, Femi Johnson is already on. Good morning, Femi. And what is the mood of Ibadan as the presidential elections results have been declared?
Trust us in Ibadan, you know this is the first in Africa. We have the mood of this election. But I want to start by saying it this way. What an election. Full of suspense, full of anxiety. But at the end of the day, after all permutations, calculations, vigil, anticipation by candidates, even supporters and Nigerians, as well as the international community, the 2019 presidential election is finally out. And come to think of it too, is it the primaries by the candidate, how they emerge, or the campaign? What about their posters, even the jingles, or the door-to-door campaign that they did to rural areas? You will agree with me that the 2019 election indeed is living up to its billing in all ramifications. I need not bother you about the detailed result, as you have just heard from Abuja. But what is now the subject of discourse in Ibadan is that result that just came out early this morning. And so our correspondent, Shola Wahid, is just back with views of Ibadan residents. But before his report, I have my regular guest with me. Dr. Nyito Shenge, you're welcome.
Thank you, Femi. Good morning, Nigerians, and congratulations.
Dr. Nyito Shenge is of the Department of Psychology, University of Ibadan. And also to with me is the Assistant Commissioner of Police in charge of operations in Oyo State, Abimbola Olugbenga.
Good morning.
Thank you. Like I said earlier on, the report, Shola Wahid, says that it is no longer news that the incumbent president, Muhammadu Buhari of the All Progressives Congress, APC, has claimed the ticket for another 4 years. Residents of Ibadan, the Oyo State capital, in a quick reaction to this, expressed their satisfaction with the outcome of the election. Over to Shola now.
Residents in Ibadan have reacted to the re-election of President Muhammadu Buhari for another 4-year term, as announced by INEC.
People have voted for him for another 4 years, and we believe the infrastructural development he has really worked on for the past 4 years. We hope he will be able to continue it. The people have spoken through their votes, and I wish President Muhammadu Buhari happy tenure, and I wish God will be with him. But
I'm happy. I'm happy that he can win the second time.
Officially announced that Buhari was elected, and we are very happy, we are very doxology. We love Buhari and we support him. 4-4, we love his agenda. Buhari, continue with your work.
So I like President Muhammadu Buhari because he do well. So that is why. So I know that he will do well for second time.
That he enter again. To God who made, God will give him power and authority to do well again. That's what I need from him, is that.
God will give him power and authority because he's having another 4 years to make sure that Nigeria continues to be better and better. Dr. Nyito, 15,191,847 against 11,262,978. Your take on this result?
Well, thank you, Femi. Well, it's a wide margin, notably, and I think Nigerians have spoken. It's a keenly contested election, and I think it's a good mandate for Mr. President. I congratulate him. I'm happy that he's already been magnanimous in victory. I pray also that Alhaji Atiku Abubakar will be gallant in losing. It's no winner, no victor, no vanquished situation. It's actually a victory for Nigerians, and I think that it's an opportunity for Mr. President to take stock of the nation. Look at the things that he had been experiencing, the issues that have been coming up. Take good stock and then look at the nation and address issues. There are so many issues to be addressed, issues of security, prominently issues of the economy, issues of educational challenges, and social welfare generally, and the quality of life of Nigerians. So it's a good opportunity for Mr. President to take a look at this. And we expect that being the person that Nigerians have known him to be, He will try to be firm as he had been, try to be fair, has to be all-inclusive, so that everyone is carried along, so that the issues of marginalization might not come up.
And to Abimbola, the Assistant Commissioner of Police, how do you feel now that the result is out?
We thank God because the election has been largely peaceful.
Do you have any arrests, or is there any major lapses you discover? How many arrests did you actually make on this presidential election in Oyo State?
For now, we have 38 suspects in custody, and investigation is going on.
What are some of their offenses, or what did they actually do to warrant being arrested?
Most of them disrupted the election, violence in most areas, and the suspects were arrested, and they are being interrogated.
Dr. Yito, why coming from the University of Ibadan? What really was the mood in town, and what are the lessons that you would say we have actually learned from this election?
Well, Nigerians are happy, but again, it was a keenly contested election. A good number will be happy, some may not be so happy, but the advice is that it's a win for the country, and Nigerians should forget party differences and then work together regardless of the candidate that they supported before the elections, so that we move ahead. So it's a partnership, and we have to forget all the differences and come together. So even if you supported the one that lost, you need to come on board to help in building a stronger Nigeria.
If you've just watched residents of Ibadan talking about the election and also reacting to the victory by President Muhammadu Buhari, we also have another report. This one is coming far away from Osun State, Osogbo. Femi Afari-Ogun, what really is the situation in Osogbo, and how do they react to this victory of President Muhammadu Buhari?
Few hours ago, the Independent National Electoral Commission announced Muhammadu Buhari of the All Progressives Congress as the president-elect of the Saturday's coup. I have with me Mr. Adeshola Otulade to react on this.
Thank you very much for having me. Let me start by saying congratulations to Nigeria. Congratulations to President Muhammadu Buhari, who has just been re-elected. And let me say that there is need for an assessment of the process by INEC and by those who lost and those who won, so that we can move ahead. And to the president, again, congratulations. But we need to understand that there is need to start now, hit the ground running. In 2015, people gave excuses and said, oh, he was just coming in and he didn't know that things were this bad. The people who left government, they did this and did that. This time around, Mr. President, there's no excuse. You've been in charge for the last 4 years. There's need for an understanding. I want to believe you must have understood the system so much that the teams will be quickly put in place so that Nigeria can be better for it. Slowing down, not making things work, is dragging Nigeria backwards. And that's one of the issues people have taken against Mr. President. So now that he has been given a fresh opportunity to correct the mistakes of the past, because no matter how good you are, there are always mistakes. So there is need for him to hit the ground running and starting now. We don't have time. You might want to think we still have 4 years. 4 years is just a few meters away, if I may put it that way. So there is need to start now. Let and assess the cabinet used before. If there were people you feel shouldn't make the next cabinet, please do Nigerians that good of getting them off board and let the right people come on board. Once again, congratulations, Mr. President.
As for the president, well, my advice to the president is that, thank God, I congratulate him, because that's what I'm expecting to be. But my advice to him is that the second time, sit up, and he should make sure that the party discipline is maintained seriously. Because what I saw in this election is that indiscipline, so he should sit up, hold the party chairman, he should sit up and maintain the discipline among the party hierarchy and the member, and advise him to work harder. He has been doing it, but he should work harder more and more. My name is Ajibade Samuel. Thank you very much.
What is your advice for the president now?
My advice for President Buhari is that he should continue his good work he has been doing for the nation. people actually voted for him, not for the party. So that's just my brief advice for him. Continue with the good work he's doing, and so that people can be able to appreciate him more for the good work he's doing and his whole team for the nation. My name is Oluwaseun Mustafa.
Is to talk to Jide Ojo in Abuja. Jide, how do you want the people of Oyo and Osun State to see this result? And also, too, you just talked about 44% in 2015 and also 36% in 2019. We are now looking forward to 9th of March. What do you think we can do between now and 9th of March to correct this voter apathy? Over to you, Jide.
Jide has just stepped out for a few consultations, but in a couple of minutes we'll be back. But I have a reaction following the report from Ibadan on your guest regarding Mr. President's reaction, where, let me copiously quote Mr. President. He said, the new administration will intensify its efforts in security, restructuring the economy, and fighting corruption. We have laid down the foundation, and we are committed to seeing matters to the end. So what is your reaction, the reaction of your guests from Ibadan, following Mr. President's reassurance to Nigerians?
You've just heard Omni is talking about the reaction of Mr. President, particularly what he intends to do now.
Yeah, it's a good thing. It's a good promise. It's a good sign that he has hit the ground running, as one of the speakers said. It's an assurance that he's in charge, he knows the direction he's moving towards. This is a good opportunity for the moving to the next level mantra to shine in the country. Nigerians are waiting, Nigerians are eager to have their lives transformed positively. I know it's not an easy job to do, but the president has something in place. And so we believe that he will do that. And in doing that, I should say that Mr. President has to remove all encumbrances and facades around him in terms of people that are working with him. If any of his member of his cabinet is not doing well, he can replace such a person and bring in on a competent person, so that results will continue to be there. So it is good, and I think Mr. President has to, he has been doing that, but much more than ever before. He has to be very much in touch with Nigerians, the reality of Nigerians. Sometimes people even pay unscheduled visits to certain places, so that you're not shielded by a retinue of aides who are trying to paint a scenario of everything that's going on before you. So if you take them unaware by paying for privacy, by holding them accountable, then I think that's a good one. And that will help Mr. President to move to the next level.
Abimbola Olugbenga, Assistant Commissioner of Police. Mr. President is equally talking about stepping up on security. What do you have to say to this?
I think that will improve the life of the economic development of the country, because if there are step up in the security arrangement, it means that foreigners will come to invest in this country, and there will be provision of a job for the young ones, and people will be happy.
And we are still talking about the security. I want to also let you know that the Oyo State Commissioner of Police, in the meantime, also reacted on cases of indiscipline, malpractices that happened during the last Saturday's election. Rofia Animashaun Badmos interviewed the Commissioner of Police. Do we have that now?
The Commissioner of Police, Oyo State Command, did promise members of the public to go out there and perform their civic responsibilities without any fear of security breaches. I'm glad to report that within that period, except for an unfortunate incident at Ward 2, Units 13 and 14, there were not major anywhere else where a life was lost. We have a case of one who, in company of order, attempted to take away the ballot box. They were prevented by security agencies, and one of them was arrested. In the course of patrols all over the place, the strategic positioning of patrol teams, assisted by the other security agencies, and men of the army who are also placed at strategic areas to ensure security, to assist in the security of all and sundry, also effected some arrests that were handed over to the police for proper investigation. At the end of it all, we have 37 suspects arrested for various offenses and being in possession of dangerous weapons in the course of the voting and elections. One died, 3 were injured. Those injured were treated and discharged.
Yeah, those injured were treated and discharged, and that is the state and level of security before, during, and after the presidential election in Oyo State. ACP Abimbola, do you have anything to add to what the Commissioner of Police has said?
Yes, we frequently review the security arrangement in the last election. We shall plug the loopholes. We will sustain the synergy between the security agencies. And we want to be proactive too. This morning, the Commissioner of Police will be meeting some critical stakeholders to discuss how we can make it more peaceful in the next election. And whatever conclusion there, we'll cascade it to the lower level. The area commanders will be directed to do same at their own area command. So also the divisional police officers will be giving such a directive.
Dr. Oyito, what do you have to also add to what we have experienced, taking into consideration the fact that the Commissioner of Police just said now that we didn't have any serious or major infractions as regards security and no life lost?
Well, that's a good piece of news, and I like that. All the same, the security agencies can still do even better by being proactive, by cooperating with other sister agencies, by working out a synergy, because there are so many agencies, security agencies, and they have to work out and they have to communicate issues, the things that need to be communicated adequately, and they have to be civil in their approach, have to respect the rights of Nigerians, and take a priority, security as a priority issue.
Just like President Muhammadu Buhari has reacted to his victorious outing, another senator-elect representing Oyo Central Senatorial District, Teslim Folani, has also described Saturday's presidential and National Assembly election as credible, free and fair in Oyo State. He commended the zeal and resilience of the electorates as well as the security who indeed stood by the vote. He was speaking to correspondent Shola Waid.
My main focus now is the issue of youth empowerment. There's a lot of youth, a lot of graduates out there without jobs. A lot of the area boys you speak to, you'll be surprised. Some of them will say they have masters, and you're thinking, what's going on here? We need to do something about that as a country. It's a time bomb. So we need to work with relevant agencies, look at the laws, existing laws, see the ones that can be strengthened, see ones that can be amended, and see if there's a need to come up with new ones. It's better to work in partnership with the executive so that the dividends of democracy can be felt. If you go there and start fighting with them, no, everyone's going to suffer. You would suffer, the people would suffer. So there's no need for that. But like I said, what we did was we had weekly meetings with, I think it was a Monday. Yeah, it was a Mondays, because we'll start sitting on Tuesday. So Monday evening, we would meet with the president and his team. We would outline our plans. He would outline his own plans. We would look at areas where there are disagreements. We'll tell them, well, this won't fly. Because we know our people, if you come up with this bill, remember I was a Senate leader, and one of my responsibility was to sponsor all government bills. So you look at the bills and say, judging by the mood of the people and their representatives, it won't fly. So could we make such amendments? You know, you do it in-house, especially when you belong to the same party.
This is Ibadan Network Center, and I want to let you know that besides Oyo State and Kwara State, we also have Ogun State, and one of the senators-elect in Ogun State, former Chief of Staff to Ogun State Governor Tolu Odebiyi, who has emerged winner in Ogun West Senatorial District, has also been talking. The APC candidate secured his victory at the expense of 17 other candidates.
With 56,452 votes, the All Progressives Congress APC Central candidate Tolu Odebiyi secured a seat to represent Ogun West Senatorial District. Beleyi Olusegun Bolanle of the Allied People's Movement APM came second with 48,691 votes, while PDP's Odunleye Abiodun was third with 43,454 votes.
For me, first and foremost, is about selfless service and selfless representation. And I think what they should expect from me is that they have a representative who is going to ensure that their issues are brought to the forefront of the Senate.
The senator-elect, Tolu Odebiyi, now has the mandate to champion the cause of Ado-Odo-Ota, Egbado North, Egbado South, Imeko-Afon, and Ipokia federal constituencies as the 9th National Assembly gradually takes shape. In Imeko, Musa Tolia, NTA News.
Discussion on the victorious outing of Mr. President in the just concluded election. Now let's take a look at the relationship between executive and judiciary. What are you anticipating for Mr. President and also the 9th legislative session that will be coming up at the National Assembly?
Well, in recent time, I can say that the relationship between the executive and the legislature have been largely frustrated, and that's not so good. In the time past, it has been something a little better, so that has to be taken care of. We need to, legislators and the people in the executive need to know that they are partners in progress. They are partners in progress, and they just have to tolerate one another, have to understand one another to be able to move the nation ahead. Because when conflicts become so intense, they become counterproductive. Conflicts naturally are good because they bring out the best in people, but when they become so intense that people don't think well again, then they become counterproductive, and that has to be dealt with. Now, with the result we have, the APC, for instance, seems to have a higher number of legislators, senators particularly. One would expect that the relationship will be good. The only sad thing is the way politicians crisscross parties. Moving from one today, they are in one party, another time they are in another. So it's very difficult to say that they are having majority now, because sooner than later you begin to hear moving from one party to the other. And I think in as much as allowing people the freedom to choose their parties is a good thing, I think the ease with which people move from one party to the other is just so much in Nigeria, I think.
Dr. Ngeto, I think that will be another subject for another day. Now we are still talking about the result, the presidential result that is just out. ACP Olugbenga, what now is your message to Nigerians as we round off? Omni, I will be coming back to you shortly.
Yes, the process has been largely peaceful. The message to Nigerians is that they should sustain that tempo. Avoid anything that would disrupt the process. There will be security for all.
Security for all. On your own part, Dr. Ngeto, that is your last message.
Okay.
What would you want INEC to put in place? And what's your message to them when you look at what has happened in the just concluded presidential election, and you now look into the 9th of March governorship and House of Assembly election?
Yeah. Thank you, Jide. INEC has done a great job, no doubt. but there are still some challenges. There are still some challenges here and there. So we will say that it's not yet Uhuru for INEC. They can do much better. They've done well, but they can do much better. There have been issues of overvoting. That's a new phenomenon that really needs to be studied and dealt with in the annals of the Nigerian polity. The issue of car reader not working is a serious issue. The issue of logistics, the issue of welfare of staff, especially ad hoc staff, security, and so on. INEC has to look at all these things. One issue that was talked about earlier on before voting that didn't show up, and I'm very happy about that, the issue of underage voting, voting of underage people. I didn't hear people talk so much about that. Perhaps it wasn't so pronounced, and I'm happy about it. But INEC has to do so much by being very, very strategic in planning and management of its activities. That way, we are going to have better elections later. And I think the gubernatorial elections are just around the corner, and the focus should be on that. Right now, INEC will continue working in harmony with security agencies and all other stakeholders. INEC should also not relax in the regular communication that it brought forth the last time. That was very commendable, and I think people need feedback even now. The issue of voter education has to be stepped out in future election because many people registered and not so many voted. And I think it is not only the responsibility of INEC, but also the responsibility of political parties and other stakeholders.
Dr. Shenge, you're just talking about the 9th of March election, and it just occurred to me now, one major issue that cropped up in the just concluded election, ACP Abimbola, is the issue of snatching of ballot box. What is the security going to do to prevent such? And moreover, I keep saying this, that when you look at the stake that is on 9th of March election, it is going to be very tasking. What are you planning?
Yeah, like I mentioned earlier, we've reviewed the security arrangements, we've seen the loopholes, and we are going to review all our deployments. Where we need to add more, we'll add more. And our tactical teams will be deployed at strategic locations at that day to prevent such occurrence.
Election is a thing that many Nigerians usually look forward to, and that is why it usually generates a lot of attention. There is no doubt about it. The 2019 general election is generating a lot of attention, attraction, and that is why anywhere you go, it is a major discourse. Omni, if Jide is back, please don't forget to let him know that the two questions I want him to indeed talk about is how is he expecting the people of Oyo, Ogun, and Kwara State under our zone to see this result, and also what should the security do to correct all the lapses that they observe in the just concluded election?
Yes, Femi, Jide will react to your question, but before your guest will leave the studio, could the doctor there tell us what he expects from the major contenders in this election in terms of their display after the results have been announced?
Thank you, Avini. I think it should be, we should look at it in terms of a partnership. We have already said that it's a win-win situation and should be taken as such. There's always another time. I think the overall interest of the country should always be paramount in the minds of politicians. That way, the nation will grow better and stronger. So, granted that so many huge resources have been deployed into the election, so many sacrifices have been made, but I think good enough, Mr. President, the President-elect said that, and I love that, what he said, that his people should not humiliate the opposition. I think it's a good assurance, and he should see to it that that assurance is observed to the letter, so that the opposition is not humiliated, rather the opposition is encouraged and strengthened and supported in a way, so that, because it's a partnership, the partnership is here, and we have to look at it that way, so that there will be harmony, there will be relative peace, and there will be development. Let me just round up there by saying that we have to look at the overall quality of life of Nigerians, because the social safety net of Nigerians is very, very low, if very almost non-existent, and that was make hits of the polity. People do not have a future. There are, if you compare to the Western countries where there is social security and so on, Mr. President has told the line of looking at the issue of social security, and I think that should be seriously encouraged and promoted, so that the quality of life of Nigerians will be much, much better, and that will bring down crime and criminality and so many other issues, because Nigerians will be happy and they will be more patriotic that they are citizens of this country. And I think that when that is done, so many other things will move on. For instance, the issue of people faking ages and so on. It's because people take stock of their lives in Nigeria and feel that at 50 they have not achieved anything. At 60 they have not achieved anything. And so they want to continue to do all this, remain relevant and be getting benefits. If government improve the quality of life of people, many of these things will go away naturally. And I think it is something that the present administration and the upcoming administration should seriously look into.
Omni, you've just said that Jide is now there. Let me now ask my question again, and that is, one, how do you want the people of Oyo, Ogun, and Kwara State that are under this zone to see this result? Then two, we're looking forward to the next election, which is on the 9th of March. And he has just said that 44% voter situation is what was recorded in 2015. But in 2019, we had 36% for the presidential election. Now we are looking forward to the governorship and House of Assembly election. What can be done to step up this issue of voter apathy? Because there are so many stakes in the forthcoming election. Over to Jide now.
Thank you very much, FJ. How should the people in our zone, how should they react? I think the bottom line is that in that zone, I think the will of the people prevailed. And for that singular reason, I don't think there will be breakdown of law and order, there will be mass protest or anything of sort. Because what election is about is the will of the people being, reflected. I mean, when we say votes should count, not only being counted, but should count in the determination of leaders. And I think that's exactly what has happened. You could see the upset with the incumbent governor, our governor, Amebu governor, losing and gracious in defeat to say, look, it's not the end of the road, it's not the end of the world. I think that is a spirit of sportsmanship that every other governor should embrace. You saw the tsunami that happened in Kwara, where, a dynasty is dismantled. And that is the will of the people. When in the last dispensation, they wanted the same person, they voted massively for him. He went on to become the Senate president. This time around, they said, Otoge, enough is enough. You can go and have a deserved rest. maybe in the next 1 year you can return. And that is the will of the people. And you could see the scatter and blood voting pattern in Oyo State. You know, why it's not a win, it's not like one political party sweeping all of the position. The same thing in Ogun. It's a mixed victory. So it's not like one party taking over, like the case in 2003 when it was a tsunami from AD to PDP. So I believe that people, I mean, like the president said, be gracious in defeat and be magnanimous, equanimous in victory or something. Yeah. So people should learn not to poke fun, not to mock or jibe at those who have lost. Those who have lost are the ones that are even made the contest worth the while. If there was no contest, there will be no victory. And so they have made the election worth its while. And, you know, in that particular zone we are talking about, we saw what happened in 2011 when even the incumbent governor, the outgoing governor, you know, in 2007 rather, he contested under AMPP. Likewise, the Ogun State counterpart, both of them lost the governorship election. But in 2011, both of them won, and there you are. They have served 2 terms. And in terms of low voter turnout, what do we do? It's very clear that the issue of not finding voters not finding their names or at their supposed polling unit contributed in no small measure to what we have seen. And I think INEC needs to to ensure that this is taken care of. Likewise, the issue of increasing the voter education ahead of the election.
Thank you so much, Femi. Thank you.
And what I can say here, we want to say thank you to Dr. Onyito Shengev for being with us this morning, and also for monitoring, because I could recall that I called you to find out if you are actually monitoring the results.
Thank you so much, Femi, and good morning, Nigerians, and congratulations.
And also, Abimbola Ulugbenga, we want to say thank you to you too for being with us.
Good morning.
And the report just reaching us also indicate that the APC Secretariat here in Ibadan is now a behalf of activity as supporters. They are celebrating the victorious outing of Mr. President. Omni, back to you.
Thank you so much, Femi, for giving us a perspective of what the situation is like in your state. And I believe in the course of this program, we'll go around all the centers to let you know that, to give you a feel of what the mood is like in the country, because Nigerians have decided or will become Nigeria's president in the next 4 years. So we have to go around to let you know what is happening. But before then, let's quickly bring you this report on the profile on President Muhammadu Buhari put together by Musbah Dawahab.
Another day approaches for Nigerians to decide on who leads the most populous black nation in the world for the next 4 years. The election is as significant as it comes, not only coming in the year the country marked.
I think there's a technical hitch there. That report will be brought to you subsequently. But I think quickly, while we wait, we're expecting more guests to join us subsequently. I think this issue of low turnout of voters really affected the result from some of the states. I remember very well in 2015, and I think somehow Musbah will need to get to the screen when the screen is ready. In 2015, we had a huge turnout in Lagos. We had a huge turnout in Akwa Ibom, for instance. We also had a huge turnout in a River State.
Even Kano.
Yeah, and Kano too. But in this particular election, the turnout was quite low. We'll look at that when the perspectives are ready. But now, Jide, given what's on ground, I put that question across to the other guests in Ibadan. What would you expect from the major contenders in this election, given the appeals made by Nigerians across the divide?
Well, I would join in that appeal that, you know, the election has come, a winner or winners have emerged. If you are dissatisfied, filing your complaints within the time prescribed at the election petition tribunals, which has already been inaugurated. And some people will say, oh, how are we so sure that we'll get justice? It was through that process that Zamfara State got back on the ballot. If they didn't go to court, possibly they would have permanently been shut out by the electoral management body. But the court said, release them, and the commission obeyed. So I think we still have to repose confidence in our judicial process and respect the final outcome. That's one. Two is that this election is not the end of the world. I tried to make that point earlier on when I said even people lost 4 years ago are now today's winner. Look at this former Senate leader, Teslim Folari. He lost in 2015. Today he's a senator-elect. Look at Professor Julius Ihonvbere, who lost in previous election. Today is a honorable member of House of Reps elect. Okay. And so that's the way it is. But in terms of restoring people's confidence in the process, I think a lot more work needs to be done to let people know that their vote is still their power.
Okay, I'm just told that the report put together by Musbah Danwahab on the profile of President Muhammadu Buhari is ready now.
Another day approaches for Nigerians to decide on who leads the most populous black nation in the world for the next 4 years. The election is as significant as it comes, not only coming in the year the country marks 20 years of uninterrupted democratic rule. The contest is apparently between the incumbent president, Muhammadu Buhari, on the platform of the All Progressives Congress, APC, and a principal challenger, former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, who was once a member of the ruling party. But then, the February 16, 2019 poll is never going to be the first test of political might for President Muhammadu Buhari. Buhari started his test of tenacity as the only male and last of the 9 children of his mother in Dumurkwa, outskirts of Daura, Katsina State. Amongst a few fortunate children, young Buhari started his education at the town school number 1, Daura, and completed his secondary school education at the provincial secondary school, Katsina, as the head boy in 1961. At this moment of his life, a forthright and disciplined Buhari already had a foresight of a future he desired. He chose a career in the military as he was enlisted in the Nigerian army in 1961 and 2 years later trained as officer cadet in Aldershot, England. From a second lieutenant in 1963, Muhammadu Buhari progressed steadily in his career and held command posts at several divisions in the army and subsequently became a military governor and minister of petroleum. In 1983, a bigger task, yet another national assignment, beckoned. After a coup of December 31st, 1983, a tested and trusted Muhammadu Buhari was chosen by his colleague to lead the nation in a new direction. It was a time Nigeria desperately needed to fight indiscipline and inculcate the culture of civil responsibility in Nigerians.
Because of his anti-corruption character, that was why his military colleagues thought it fit to put him, because they know that nobody will fault him.
We knew there was insecurity, we knew there was corruption, we knew there was all sorts of vices within the society. Once we establish that, then we begin to look for the man who is fit, who is capable to provide solutions to some of these problems. And at that time, Buhari fit in very well because he was a good soldier, quite honest. He's a man of his mind.
The military regime of the anti-corruption crusader was short-lived, but then his contribution to national development was far from being over. He withdrew to private life and was close to a decade in retirement before he was called upon by late General Sani Abacha in the mid-90s to pioneer the Petroleum Trust Fund, PTF. Under his watch, the excess accrues from fuel subsidy removal was utilized to improve all aspects of the nation's socio-economic life. Following the return of democracy in Nigeria in 1999, General Muhammadu Buhari offered to serve the nation again, but this time as a Democrat. But on his first 3 attempts at the polls, Buhari only ended up challenging his defeat up to the Supreme Court. He contested on the platform of ANPP against the then incumbent president Olusegun Obasanjo in 2003 and against late Umar Musa Yar'Adua in 2007. Though in the later, the declared winner, Yar'Adua, accepted the fact that the electoral process that produced him was flawed. Following unresolved differences, the dogged politician formed a new political party, Congress for Progressive Change, CPC, and contested the presidential election in 2011 against the then sitting president, Goodluck Ebele Jonathan. Again, he lost.
This decision of the Supreme Court is politically motivated and has little judicial content. This Supreme Court has proved no better than the Supreme Court of 2003 and 2007.
The outcome of that election, which Buhari also challenged up to the Supreme Court, made him to announce never to participate in elections again. But Nigerians who believed in the Buhari phenomenon would not take his no for an answer.
That September, I said to him, you know, General, the situation that Nigeria is going to be in 4 years may be such that you may have to run. He was very angry with me. Because he said, I'm a man of my words, I will not go back on my words. I said, but you are not running for president for yourself. You've been president before. You are running for president for all of us. Therefore, it is not your decision alone.
Towards the 2015 general elections, what turned out to be a defining moment, a merger of major opposition political parties, altered the political permutation and the history of democracy in Nigeria. The APC, which emerged after the coalition, has change as its slogan.
I humbly wish to present myself before you.
Then, Buhari changed his mind, contested the presidential ticket with other 4 aspirants and emerged as the candidate.
Muhammadu Buhari as the winner.
And then, the APC metamorphosed from just a political party to a national movement, as Buhari was seen as the answer to what Nigerians were practically yearning for: fights against corruption, improved security, and economic development. This led to an unprecedented feat in the honors of Nigerian democracy. A sitting president was unseated, and the go-getter achieved what he had longed for more than 12 years.
Muhammadu Buhari of APC, having satisfied the requirements of the law and scored the highest number of votes, is hereby declared the winner and is returned elected.
And now, more than 3 years into his democratic leadership, President Muhammadu Buhari is at the poll again on the quest for his second term in office.
Yes, that was a profile on the president-elect and indeed the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Muhammadu Buhari. Well, I will do an analysis on that report. Before then, we have a full house. Musbah?
All right, we have a full house, like Yomini just mentioned. We have a couple of guests joining us, and one of them, Chairman, Buhari Media Organization, that's BMO, Niyi Akinshiju, is in the house.
A pleasure. Thank you. Good morning.
Thanks a lot for coming.
My pleasure.
And also we have Dr. Gali Sharif Ibrahim of Department of Political Science and International Relations. Welcome to the studio, Nigeria Decide studio. Of course, Nigerians have decided.
Thank you.
And Egidio Joe is still here with us. Well, Ni, you saw that documentary, and where I want to take it from is that his last reaction to the judgment, that he said it was no difference with 2003, And also when he heard the testimony by the governor of Kaduna State, Nasir El-Rufai, saying when he approached him to say you have to run, and he said he even took offense for even attempting to advise him on that. So if that did not happen, what is your projection?
Well, I think in the whole of that ecosystem, as it were, I may sound rather implausible, but one way or the other, I'd always credit whatever happened, eventually to the ambition of President Muhammadu Buhari to share spiritual, to divine intervention, more or less, because here is a man that has shown so much resilience, contested 3 times, lost 3 times, and it was obvious to him, going by his response to the Supreme Court judgment, that it was rigged, in those 3 times that he contested, and it was like giving up on the system, But just when it was giving up,
he gave up.
Well, I won't say he gave up, because if he had actually given up, there was nothing you could have done, to persuade him to come back, But he allowed himself to be persuaded, and I think we should use that word. When you take for a man of his nature, known for his principle, and a tendency, a proclivity to stand by what he has said, such people don't change their minds like that. The fact that he changed his mind still means that, or translates to the fact that he had it in him. He still wanted it, but needed things, factors, elements to persuade him. And in conceding in 2015 to contest again, it shows that he was persuaded. And don't also forget that it was not just only Malam El-Rufai that was involved. You also had other actors involved. People like Asiwaju Bola Tinubu, who was at head of the other party that was trying to form a merger in 2011. And in fact, it was bad because that merger failed that we didn't realize an APC in 2011 that we now eventually realized in 2015. So what I think the president then saw was new factors, new elements coming into the space, and that this could actually be a substantial factor in moving him forward. So he himself allowed himself to be persuaded, one. Then 2, God decided to intervene in the Nigerian trajectory at that point in time.
Well, you were more or less in the trenches heading the Buhari media organization.
Yeah.
Imagine this did not go this way, but it has gone this way. What's the reaction?
We're not giving ourselves any other option, seriously. We're not giving ourselves any alternative. The truth is that we analyzed the tendency, the capacity, and the strengths. We did our SWOT analysis, more or less, on the opposition. And we realized that they were not running a good campaign. And that whatever they were throwing up in terms of the opposition candidates, in terms of other elements in the opposition, whatever they were throwing up were just mere platitudes. So much that at a point in time we had to ask for the substance and issues they said they were going to play on.
Now, let me just put you on hold. You're talking about an analysis of the opposition now. Was it all about the opposition party or your assurance of what your own party has done before this election?
Yeah, it's when you do a SWOT analysis, you do it for your opposition, you do it for yourself. We have done our own.
You sound so confident.
See, there was no point in time that we had a doubt that we were going to win this election. For the first time, you saw a government that was delivering on promises. It may not be 100%. It may not even be 80%. For God's sake, it may not even be 70%. But academics, like I always say, in the academics, when you have 70, you have an A. It presupposes that you have covered between 70 and 100, So we can score ourselves excellent, even if it is at 70%.
You're judging your own self.
Yeah, we are judging ourselves, and that is what we took to the marketplace, we had, for the first time, we had a government that we can sell its achievements, not promises. So when we were campaigning, we were no longer talking about we will do. We were referencing projects. And the president even did such a great thing for us. It made the campaign to be very easy. It was going to states to campaign and commission projects. Tell me, in the history of this country, since 1979, which president, or let's say since 1983, which sitting president that was in government that would go to a particular state to campaign and would also double on that campaign to commission projects. That's huge. And beside that, we can also start talking about other programs, either the social investment program, the infrastructure program, and it did so much in terms of relating with humanity. Pensioners that had their pensions locked down for more than 16, 17, 18 years under the party, the opposition party when it was in government, were given more or less liberation, by this government. It is huge when you have someone that has served the country for more than 30 years, and his pension that he depended on to sustain his humanity for that period was held on to for more than 15 years, and somebody now came. It didn't make that, it was not part of the campaign promises. And that is substantial. It was not part of the campaign promises. And he made sure all these pensions, not all, but most were paid, and that it will be a continuous exercise. Now, if and even look at how many states were being owed salaries before it was inaugurated in 2015. 27 states, inclusive of both PDP and APC states. Objectively, the president addressed this issue. Allowed for the first time, and I'm saying for the first time again, it's the first time you see federal government intervention, either in terms of budgetary support, or even in the refund of the Paris Club refund that we are celebrated so much. The Paris Fund refund had been in the works since 2006. When state governments had been demanding for it. Throughout the PDP in government, from that 2006 to 2015, it was an issue that the state government, the subnationals, had always come up with the federal government. The federal government at those times refused to pay. It is again not part of the promises made by President Buhari. He gave order that this should be paid. I mean, these are ways that you understand or appreciate how a government bond with the people. And they actually said so that when some of these governors were also collecting this money, they still refused to pay their staff salaries. And he said, to them, that how do you people go to sleep when you know that your staff had not been paid? And of course, you know yourself as a salary earner. If you don't get paid at the end of the month, what happens to your status, even as a breadwinner, either as a female or as a male breadwinner within the family? These are very important things, going beyond infrastructural deficiencies that we are trying to bridge under this government. And we can start talking about even the time, traveling time now. Traveling time from Lagos, in 2015, when I was driving from Lagos to Abuja, it took me an average of 13 to 14 hours. But now I can see perceptible reduction. I am doing 11 hours now, 11, 12 hours. It shows that the infrastructure that were not there, that were in deficit at that period, is being put in place. The standard travel time from Lagos to Abuja used to be 9-10 hours. I can remember 2004, 2005, we were driving. It was, in fact, between Okene and Owo, it was like a leisure drive. Once you get onto that road, you were just speeding at an average 100%. But by 2015, it was a death trap. You had all manners of craters everywhere. But now you can see conscious effort, to redeem some of these deficiencies. And that is why it was really a pride. It's an honor for me, it's a privilege to campaign for Mr. President. It's not something one could do always. because you can do that when you have a good person in office. If you don't have, and that was the major burden of people in the opposition.
Okay, Nia, I know definitely if we give you all the time, you take the entire time.
It's my pleasure.
The program is Nigeria Decide, and indeed, Nigerians have decided. We shall be going to the International Conference Center for the presentation of the certificate of return. But for now, we are taking a reaction of Nigerians across the country. Musba, where are we going to next?
All right, we'll be going to Benin, where we have Agatha Egware Ojo. Hello, Agatha. How is Benin now? How are the people reacting to the victory of the APC presidential candidates?
Thank you, Ms. Bao. We welcome you here. Indeed, the contest has been won and lost. Nigerians have indeed decided, and Edo people are reacting in a peaceful and calm way. Of course, we have a roadshow by members of the All Progressives Congress and their supporters around major streets in Benin. But before we bring you all of that and other reactions from Edo people from our team of reporters, we have here in the studio our guest, a legal practitioner, Ovenserio Tamiri. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you so much. Good day, viewers at home.
Okay, let's get straight now to the issues. 15,191,847 to 11,262,978, with a margin of 3,928,869 votes. What's your reaction to the results? Or how do you feel?
Well, in the first place, if you look at the percentage of people that voted in the election, one cannot help but say that it was rather low as compared to the expectations of political stakeholders. 35% or thereabouts formed the total number of voters in an election where you have such contest from over 73 presidential candidates across the country. So one would have expected that, considering the way the political parties mobilized, campaigned, and tried to drive home their points, that people will come out en masse to vote. At least we would have expected about 45% or 50% of the total number of registered voters coming out to vote. So if we take that figure of 35.6% as the total number of registered voters voting in this election, then we can say that we have a lot to still do in terms of getting people to be politically conscious. Because if we don't have conscious followership, we cannot have good and effective representation.
All right.
Let us not also forget, too, that the election we are talking about is not just the presidential election. We elected members of the National Assembly, both the House of Reps and the House of Senate. And so these are people who are in the critical area of governance. So the more we become conscious on the need for us to elect our leaders, the better society we would have in terms of getting these dividends of democracy.
Okay, but I'm sure we'll get to all of that in the course of discussion, but what is your reaction? What do you feel about the results?
Very well. To me, the result is a welcome development, particularly when you consider the point that the election was all the same peaceful in most parts of the country. Yes, there are pockets of complaints of violence and all of that. But what is important is substantial compliance with the electoral guidelines in producing the winner of an election. And so I can imagine that the acceptability of the election results is born out of the fact that the will of the people actually prevailed. Because if you if you look at the way you have the spread of the voters, well, I think one of the analysts was mentioning that the victory was a mixed one. And so it is not just like, oh, every one political party taking it all. But when you are now talking about the majority of the lawful votes eventually and producing a winner at the end of the day in an atmosphere without rancor, then you expect that Nigerians will say, oh yes, I mean, the winner has emerged due to the hard work. And of course, the loser was also a gallant one. Okay. So my own take is that it's a pleasant one, and it is a step forward in our nascent democracy. All right, we'll come to you later, but now let's take reactions from Edo people. Victory well deserved are the words on the lips of the All Progressives Congress APC stalwarts in Benin City as they took to the streets of Benin to celebrate the victory of President Muhammadu Buhari. Ivio Mori is our guide.
As a way of celebrating President Muhammadu Buhari's victory, Edo indigents are currently on the streets jubilating and thanking God for what he has done for them. Sir, can you tell me how you feel?
Wonderful. It's a happy day. We are celebrating the victory of APC at the presidential elections, and we are very happy all the work, all the effort has come to pay, it's come to fruition. So we hope for another wonderful 4 years.
I feel good. Today is a happy day. People didn't expect this from us. We thank God for APC. We thank God for the life of our leaders. They try very well.
In fact, I'm overwhelmed. I'm so happy. Not for me, but for the average Nigerian. What it has proved to us is that no more Godfather in Nigeria. You can be anything you want to be, you will achieve it. That's the way I look at it.
To these stalwarts, the declaration of President Muhammadu Buhari as president-elect of Nigeria is that which they have envisaged, considering the good deeds he has started.
I'm very happy with the result. It shows trust and confidence for Mr. President and the party. I know that a lot of work has gone down, even though there's been an attempt by our opponents to play down on the achievements of the president and take advantage of the social conditions of our people, which they themselves caused in the first place. I am thankful to God that we did not revert to the old past.
We knew that Buhari would come back because he has done so much for this country, and we knew that the election was just going to be an easy passage for him. So as APC members, as Nigerians, we are very happy. Nigeria is back on track.
President Muhammadu Buhari was declared winner this morning as he polled a total of 15,191,847 votes. In Benin, Ivie Omoyi, NTA News.
APC stalwarts there celebrating in the streets of Benin. Now let's take a reaction from Edo North Senatorial District. That's the home of the national chairman of the All Progressives Congress, Adams Oshomole. There, APC actually got the highest votes in Edo State. David Ire, it's over to you.
The presidential result has formally been declared. And here in Edo North, President Muhammadu Buhari showed a very good fight, and it was one of the senatorial districts he had overwhelming victory, not losing out in any local government. We have with us the chairman of Isako West local government, who, as a matter of fact, recorded the highest victory in Edo North. That is Isako West local government result. Mr. Yakubu Musa, how do you see the victory across board now?
You can see us beaming with smiles. First of all, we have to give thanks and praises to Almighty Allah. It's only Him that gives power. Whoever Almighty Allah chooses, we other people have to follow. So I believe that Almighty Allah has chosen President Muhammadu Buhari to lead us for another 4 years and bring those changes that he has started. And we have to thank all our voters, all our electorates for their peaceful conduct in my local government, Isako West. Precisely, as you can know, this is the home of the national chairman of APC, and the home of the Deputy Governor, His Excellency Right Honorable Philip Shaibu. So we are following suit. It's the home of APC, as you can see, and the people have to deliver. And we have delivered very, very well. I think my local government is the highest in Edo State. That delivered 31,000 plus votes.
So what's your goodwill message to the president?
The goodwill message is the president to keep doing what he's doing, the infrastructural development of Nigeria, and he should extend it to our state and our local government. And we appeal to him to put good people in position so that they can bring new thinking, new ideas to this administration.
Now, the result for the presidential election has been formally declared, and of course, as expected, there's jubilation across the country. How do you feel?
Well, I feel very, very happy. First and foremost, I want to congratulate all the APC party faithful members, the leaders, especially the ones from my local government. The total result that we got from Mr. Kosencha was overwhelming. You know, it was a vote that people came out to cast with all their mind, and there was no foul played. It was a free and fair election. So the atmosphere was calm.
As the chairman of the party in this local government, how do you feel?
Well, we have to give thanks to Almighty Allah that ordained anything you want to do. We are just kingmakers. It's Almighty Allah that makes it possible. Me, as an chairman of the APC and chairman of the chairman of Edo State, I'm happy God has decided what he wanted to be.
So what's your message to
My message to the great Nigeria is everybody should live like Buhari. We said the man said it's party corruption. Without you and me, we can never succeed.
Yeah, we got that reactions from Edo North Senatorial District. Barrister Tamiri, let's come back to you. You heard the people saying, it's not who you know, it's not about who you know, it's about what you have done. What's your take on that?
Very well. We saw a kind of personality acceptance coming into play in this particular election. If you look at what happened all over the country, there were a lot of voters out there that felt quite dissatisfied with the activities of some of the political gladiators who were vying for election. I mean, considering the fact that a system that brought them to limelight, such system being fought against and being betrayed at the same time. So that's why you also have the exit of the Sarakis, the Akpabios, and you also have a local example even in our own state here. So the point being made is that you have the silent voters